All right, the next method that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about substitution and elimination. So we're going to start with substitution. And this is the method of substituting one equation into the other. Okay, you're going to solve one equation. Here are your steps for x or for y. It does not matter which one you solve for x or for y. And then you're going to substitute this expression into the other equation and solve. Okay, step 3 is then you're going to take your answer and substitute it back. Your answer into the revised equation from step 1 and solve for the other variable. All right, so let's just take a couple examples of this just so we can kind of get a look. I always like to start with this first one. So step 1 says solve one of the equations for one of the variables. So this equation right here is solved, isn't it? So then can't I just take that? I'm gonna box it. I can take this box. Oops. Can't draw a box. Take that box and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation for y. So instead of saying y, I'm going to say 4x minus 1 equals 2x minus 5. Well, we've just finished doing a ton of these problems, so I'm going to minus 2x from both sides, and I get 2x minus 1 equals a negative 5. I'm going to add 1, and I get 2x equals a negative 4. Divide by 2, and x equals a negative 2. Okay, remember back to last section, your answers are always going to have 2 parts. So that just gives me the x value. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to substitute it back into the box. And I'm going to say 4 times 2 minus 1. 4 times 2 minus 1 is 8 minus 1 is 7. So my answer on this is 2, 7. So if it's already solved, let's take a look at the next one. If it's already solved, this one is already solved. So then I'm going to box it and I'm going to draw a line to the y because that's what y equals. So I'm going to write this equation exactly how it's written, except where there's a y, I'm going to put a 6x. And then I'm going to solve it. So 2x plus 18x equals a negative 20. So 20x equals a negative 20. Divide both sides by 20. And x equals a negative 1. So again, my equation has 2 parts. I need an x and a y. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to plug it back in, and 6 times a negative 1 is a negative 6. So that's my answer. Okay, so you can also take a look at number 4. It doesn't have to be solved for y. That's a misconception. It could be solved for x. So if it's solved for x, I'm going to box this, and I'm going to take and put it in the equation for x. So I'm going to have 2 parentheses, 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. So then you times in and you get 8y plus 14 minus 6y equals 12. These are on the same side of the equal sign, so 2y plus 14 equals 12. I'm going to minus 14, and I get 2y equals a negative 2. And then I'm going to divide by 2, and y equals a negative 1, which means that's the second number because it's a y. So you're going to take that negative 1 and you're going to plug it back in there. So you're going to have 4 times a negative 1 plus 7. So that's a negative 4 plus 7 is 3. So that is your answer. All right, so I would like to take a look at, turn the page, and I would like you to take a look now at some harder ones. So if I look at example 6, okay, if I look at example 6, I can't highlight anything, nothing is solved. But if you look at this y, it's almost solved. Basically, couldn't I just minus 2x, and then I would have it solved? Y equals 9 minus 2x. So I'm going to box this now that I have it solved, and I'm going to draw a line to the other equation in the y. So 2x minus 3 parentheses 9 minus 2x equals a negative 11. So I'm going to multiply this in. That's a negative 27. A negative and a negative is a positive 6x. Okay, these are like terms, so I'd have 8x minus 27 equals a negative 11. And I'm going to add 27 and add 27. And 8x equals, what is that, 16. Divide both sides by 8. And my answer is x equals 2. So that is the first number because it is an x. Okay, so now I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to put it in there. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm going to say 9 minus 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4 and 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay, all right, so we're going to jump down to number 9. So let's take a look at number 9. Again, none of them are solved. So I would take a second and I would say, okay, which one would be easiest to solve? Wouldn't this y almost be by itself? I just have to minus 2x. So I end up with y equals 18 minus 2x. I'm going to box this and put it in for y. And so I have 6x plus 3 times 18 minus 2x equals 54. So then I'd have 6x plus 3 times 18 is 3 times 18 is 54. And then minus 6x equals 54. These are on the same side, so you end up with 54 equals 54. So this goes back to what we learned in the first unit that we did with equations. If they're the same, then it's all solutions. So this means if I were to graph them, they would land on top of each other. If that would have said like 0 equals 54, then it would have been no solutions.